Hey everyone, my name is Mark here at Udacity. Hope everyone's doing well. Welcome to the first webcast for the tech entrepreneur. And I have with me a person online as well, Michael. Hey, Michael, can you enable your video and say hi to everyone?
Yeah. Hey, everyone. Some of you might know me. I'm just another coach for the Tech Entrepreneur Program. Hopefully you can find some pretty good insights and tips for our topic today.
Yeah, so it's just mostly going to be us presenting on tips and tricks on how to go about and do your research. And let's see, I want to make sure that we're going to screen share. So we're going to have a little presentation. Now, if you want to ask questions, we will be able to answer these questions live as well. The thing is, we're going to be using Slido and not the YouTube chat. So because the YouTube chat may get it may have a lot of conversations that you may have, which you're free to have, but then it'll be hard for us to figure out which sentence or which write-up is a question. So I'm going to switch to my presentation. We're going to have that Slido chat link for you to log on and just go ahead and ask questions. So let's see. I'm gonna go and screen share right now. Michael, can you click on my screen so people can see the screen that I'm loading. So let me know if you see it.
I can see it.
Okay, great. So we're gonna run through this webcast, and yeah, if you have any questions, please use the Slido link. And the Slido link is this link right here. So right now, we're gonna give you maybe 30 seconds to just go ahead and get on the Slido link. So we're just gonna give you maybe 20 more seconds to go ahead and make sure that allow people to click on the link and log on and post questions away. All right, so hopefully everyone's on, and looks like everyone is posting questions. All right, great. So it looks like everyone has the ability to post questions. So yeah, if you have a question, post it right there. So Michael and I, we could see it, and then we could address these questions as we go. So let's just get started. Now, the question is, why do we want to learn a little more about conducting research with customers? Because really, research is, if you put it plainly, it's just really trying to find the information that you need, right? What we found out is that there are certain tips and tricks, and what we want to do is give everyone a practical framework in order to market and to conduct market and customer research. So why you should really pay attention to this one slide is because this will ultimately save you time, money, and a lot of headaches as you're trying to figure out how to approach your research and how do you actually make a plan and strategize and how to focus your research and basically do the minimum amount of work in order to get the maximum amount of feedback that's valuable for you. So the three things that you're going to learn today is really, here's three things that you need to be aware of. Like finding your critical question. We need to learn how to define what a critical question is, because these critical questions will actually drive our research strategies. If we have several different critical questions. Each critical question will, in itself, spawn a certain research strategy to help answer that critical question. And then third thing that we're going to learn is just to be aware of bias, because we have certain bias that we have as humans. So it's, once we're doing research, we need to be very aware of these biases, and we may not dive too deeply into bias because there's tons of bias out there when you're researching. But I will present you the number one bias I think that a lot of new entrepreneurs and new researchers will do, and we'll talk about that later as we go. Okay, so let's move on. This looks like there's no questions, so hopefully everyone understands that these are the three things that we're going to talk about. So let's first talk about critical questions. Basically, if you think about research, all research starts with a general question. And everything that relates to you trying to find something, trying to understand something really will revolve around, what do you want to find out in this world? And as we go and figure out this question, we're going to go ahead and dive deep into this general question to find out our these critical questions, because the critical question will depend on this general question that we will have, and it will revolve something about you, something to trying to find out what you want in this world. So let's move on. Let's just be very pragmatic and start off with an example. So here's an example. As I was writing this lesson plan, I was writing this outline. I was actually on the train, and I commute by train almost every day. And I was thinking to myself, okay, this is a good general question to ask. Is there a better way to make my city's train system more efficient for morning commuters? There's got to be something. There's got to be better ways, because the trains are always running late. I'm always trying to figure out my schedule. I'm always trying to figure out where should I leave an hour later, or can I like save time and maybe like go ahead and take an earlier train? There's got to be a better way. So let's take a step back and analyze this general question. So this is how we actually go ahead and look and unpackage and dive deep and break down this one single question. This one single question, hopefully at the end, you'll find out that there's a lot that's going on that we need to really ask ourselves. And I've highlighted this one general question into three parts, 1, 2, and 3, because these are actually critical points in this sentence. So let's unpack it. Number 1, is there a better way? So already better. So better is very subjective. It's a subjective word. So my first question, I'm diving into the sentence. What does better mean? I then wrote out other questions. What are the areas of improvement that we can improve the train system? What exactly do we mean with the word better? As I was like diving deep into this first part of the sentence, I then wrote this one question I think that really struck a chord with me. Is like, can we research and find what better means to morning commuters? Because I have an idea what better means, but then for morning commuters, what does better mean to them? So this is actually a critical question. This will help me focus in on that one aspect and this one assumption that I have on better. So I need to go ahead and do research on what better means. Let's look at number 2. My city's train system. All right, so this is the meat of the question. Like we're talking about my city's train system, which goes into, I'm going to dive deep into these questions. What has the city done in the past to make morning commutes better? What research have they done? Is this research publicly available? Are there any regulations that need to be followed to make improvements? A lot of people don't think about this, but as soon as we involve something with the government, we need to start thinking about regulations and start thinking about, okay, how do they plan out and manage improvements? What is the city's long-term plans and strategy? Is the city open to outside help to improve their train system? So that's the big question that I'm asking, because basically, if I were to do something, if I were to explore further, if I find out that there's a lot of red tape, there's a lot of pushback, there's a lot of barriers to even get me to seek to go ahead and like just get resistance from the city, then really is it even worth my time and effort to actually go further into my research and go further into trying to solve this problem? So that's pretty critical. Number 3, for morning commuters. All right, so this is your classic who is your customer question, that if you've gone to an office hour or to a one-on-one, Michael and I, we've always asked you, who is your customer? This is your classic critical question. Who exactly are these morning commuters? How many people ride on any given morning? What do they work in certain industries? Like basically, who are these people, and what else do these commuters do in their daily activities? And then I think I then start to write more questions, and this one struck a chord. How can we improve their commute so they can focus on other parts of their daily life? Now, isn't this pretty? I think this is a pretty critical question to help us frame our research and frame our solution, because we don't just want to improve their commute by 15 minutes or an hour. We want to improve their lives. And this is how we can actually go and start framing and start doing figuring out and start researching on these type of critical questions. Okay, so let's take a step back a little bit and do the exercise. So what is a critical question? Does a critical question challenge you to think critically? Does a question is it a question that stops your progress if you don't have an answer to it? Is it a question that gives you more detail on your core question? So right now, what we're gonna do is we're gonna wait a little bit, because I'm live casting live right now, but there's a little lag. So we're gonna go ahead and actually ask everyone a poll. So hopefully everyone goes to your Slido. I'm going to activate this poll. Hopefully you'll be able to see this poll. So poll. So go ahead and in the Slido application, go ahead and think to yourself, what is a critical question? Like, what is the definition of a critical question? You've seen an example, so go ahead. We're going to take 30 seconds to a minute. Allow everyone who's live to actually just think a little bit, and we'll give you the answer afterwards. All right, so that's been 30 seconds to a minute. So we're gonna go ahead and unveil the answer. Critical questions. Here's the definition. Critical questions stop your progress if you don't have an answer to them. I saw that like it was kind of 50-50, like of the people who voted. It was half of the people voted a question that stops your progress if you don't have an answer to it, or a question that gives you more detail on your core question. Now, like if you think about a question that gives you more detail on your core question, that's good because it just tells you more about more about just your question more, and it unpacks it, but it doesn't necessarily define that one sticking point that if you cannot answer this critical question, you cannot progress. You cannot move forward with your idea. You cannot move forward with your research. So that's why it's critical, because you can have detailed questions, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's a question that actually stops your research. So hopefully you understand that the key point of a critical question. Now, if you have further follow-up questions, please go ahead and post them in the Q&A, or if you want, go ahead and post it later in the forums to give you some more time to think about these critical questions. But again, critical questions stop your progress if you don't have an answer to them. Because honestly, if you don't have your critical questions, you cannot move forward. So when you say move forward, what do you mean? Well, basically the next step of having these critical questions, great, you identified them. You now need to think about research strategies, because research strategies in itself depend on your critical question. So if hopefully you find the connection. In order to find out my answer to my main core question, I need to unpack this question and create critical questions. Now, okay, I have critical questions. Okay, these critical questions will allow me to explore and research that part of that question, and that to help me answer that part of my core question. So, and here's the caveat: a critical question is unique, and each critical question will have unique strategies to help. You need to develop unique strategies to help you find out that answer to that question. Let's take an example. Let's go back to that same example that we talked about trying to figure out how to improve commute time for morning commuters on the train system. So the first critical question that we actually have is, okay, can we research and find what better means to morning commuters? Okay, so what does this mean? Well, this is more of a general definition type of question. And we need to go ahead and try to understand, understand what other people think when they think of better. So that basically kind of goes into like the idea and market validation stage of your project. So I have this idea. I know what I mean. I know what I know what it means, but then I want to make sure that other people have the same definitions that I have. I need to also go ahead and validate the market as well. Are people searching using the same terms that I'm using for when I think of better for my morning commute? Because better could mean a lot of things. Better could mean less time on my commute. Better could mean I have a more enjoyable experience with the people I'm commuting with. Better could mean that I don't get delayed. So what does better mean to more commuters, and what does it, what do they prioritize? So that's really the idea of market validation. So this research strategy will probably you probably need to take surveys, interviews. So 3-4 question survey, you send it out to your network of people and then try to get a good trend. You do trends research, go to Google, look at Google searches, look at their trends. You probably look at Topsy to look at their trends as well. Another thing to do is do competitive research. If there is a company that's trying to make morning commutes better, then see what they're doing. See what are words that they're doing. How do they define better? Because in essence, if you have competitors, it means that you have an idea that's being validated. So that's your strategy to help you answer this type of critical question. Okay, so it looks like we don't have any questions that come up. I'm gonna keep going. So again, please let us know if you have any questions. The second question: is the city open to outside help to improve their train system? Now, this is more of I call this a detective question. It's a detective-like question. We need to find key city information and key people to help answer this question, because we just can't survey random people and expect us to get an answer on this type of question. So here are some tactics to help you out. If it's a city, okay, most governments will have some sort of regulations that's public, that's open to the public. You can go ahead and read their regulations and read their transportation plans. Most organized cities will have town hall meetings, and they have like community meetings. Basically, they open up meetings and get feedback from people in the community and who live in your city. You can read their minutes. You can read minutes. You can read the notes of what's going on. Like you could like find notes that involving train transportation in the past, trying to get the vibe and the key information that you want to know about how does the city approach improving train transportation. This is also good for you if you want to look at the type of issues that community members raise during these meetings as well. This will actually help you answer that first critical question of what does better mean for morning commuters. Okay, you can probably read news articles that talk about public transportation improvement in your city. Newspapers, look at the news, try to find something. And here's the key point. This is all secondary research that's out there, but then the key thing is that from reading these articles, we find out who the key managers and who are the key people who are actually running the town hall meetings, who are actually being featured in these news articles. These are like probably most like the directors, the key city managers of your city, who have a big, who know who know what's going on, and they may actually be responsible to approve these transportation plans and to approve these plans for improvement. So we read these articles, these minutes, in order to find the key people, so that we could then directly approach them and interview them and ask them, hey, what is your position on getting outside help to improve the train system? I'm trying to understand. I'm an entrepreneur. I want to help you guys out. What do I need to do to help you? This is basically a type of research that you need to think of as you were if you're a detective. Okay, let's move on to the third critical question, the final one. How can we improve their commute so they can stay focused on other parts of their daily life? So when I say they, I mean these morning commuters on the train. So this is more of an exploratory and detective question, and we need to figure out how our product or how our idea or our solution can offer this value. And this is the classic design sprint that you are learning in the product design course in the Tech Entrepreneur Now degree. You run design sprints and you show people mock-ups and prototypes to customers to see, okay, to understand whether they get it and to get feedback on whether this is actually a good solution to help that can offer them more time and offer them the ability to improve other parts of their daily life. All right, quiz. All right, we're back to another exercise here. So this we've seen all these critical questions, and let's see if I'm gonna give you a random critical question, and let's see if what you think of what research strategy could fit, could help answer this critical question. So the critical question is, how can we allow moms to nurse their baby confidently in public? So I'm going to open the poll here. And I'm going to allow you to, and basically I'm going to allow everyone another 30 seconds to a minute to think and try to come up with the ideal strategy to help answer this critical question. Okay, so it looks like we have enough people to vote. Thank you. And what is the answer? The answer is we run a design sprint, and we show nursing moms our solution on how to nurse confidently in public. Now, why is that? Because if you think about the question a little bit more, we want to allow moms to nurse confidently in public. Now, if we were to ask them a survey on how would you nurse confidently in public, it means that they already have that answer and they know how to nurse confidently in public. So it comes to like really knowing basically that core question of, okay, do they know how to do it already? If they don't, how come? Why not? Because if they are already doing it, then they won't need our solution. So that's we're trying to find we're trying to show moms who may not know how to nurse confidently our solution, and then get their favorite feedback and see if, okay, if you were to use this, would this actually improve your confidence? Okay, we'll close this poll. Thank you all for voting there. And looks like, just to understand how long this session will last, this session will last up to the 45-minute mark. So we have like around 15 more minutes, and we're almost done. Great. So let's see, it's deactivate. Bias. So this is the last thing that I want to talk about for everyone, to let everyone know about bias. So as you research, there will be bias as you ask people questions. The key is to control bias. Now let's just define what bias is in our case. Bias is an inclination of temperament or outlook that, especially, it's a a temperament or outlook. It's some sort of predisposition. You have some sort of perspective and a reasoned judgment. Everyone has bias. Humans have assumptions and heuristics of the world that basically help us rapidly process information. This is the more psychological answer. Is just, yeah, these bias help us do a lot of short circuit judgments. I'll give you an example. If you see a tiger and you see a tiger chase down a gazelle, you know that you can make an assumption that tigers like to chase down gazelles and they like to kill and eat gazelles. If we did not have these shortcut bias, we would actually have to do like a lot of research on ourselves. Okay, I see one tiger, but I need to sample 50 or 1,000 different tigers to actually make a judgment on that. Us, we see one thing, we tend to believe that it's true for forever until we get more information that disproves us. I'm going to talk about one bias, and basically we're almost done with the presentation. This is a big one that a lot of when people start off, when a newer entrepreneur or newer research off, they have their idea and they want to validate. They need to research. They often ask their friends and family for feedback on an idea. The thing is, I think friends and family are great. They are very convenient, and that's why a lot of people ask them, because you don't want to feel like you're intruding on them because they're your friends and family. They owe you one per se. Here's the bias. Friends and family, they may be biased to give you information that you like to hear instead of the information that you need to hear. Again, I'm going to reiterate. Your friends and family may be biased to give you information that you would like to hear, that you would like to confirm your idea. You would like to get feedback and say, yeah, this is a great idea. I should run with this idea, instead of the information that you need to hear and to improve your business and to improve your product. This is very important because if you run with your idea, if you start designing your prototypes, if you start actually building your product, your first alpha product, and you find out that it does not meet market fit, you've wasted a lot of time and money and headaches and heartaches because you did not do enough due diligence and did not ask enough different people about your ideas and about your critical questions. So here's the tactic that I really recommend you to walk away with is to ask your extended network, the friends of friends, and also ask random people too. Try to on your daily lives. If you feel like you have time, just go to a public gathering and look for a person who's bored. Most likely they will give you the benefit of their time, maybe 2 to 5 minutes, and then you can ask them, get their feedback, show them your mock-ups, survey them, ask them like what does it mean to have a better commute, for example, and then you will get the information that you need to hear, because this person themselves, this random person, they don't have, there's no bias that they may hold onto you. All right, wrapping this up, this is a framework for you to really start thinking about your research and also to help guide your research. Find your critical questions. Ask that general question, write it down, and then maybe just follow that same exercise that we did. Write out your critical question, underline the important parts of your sentence, and then dive deep into those sentences and then ask the question until that question resonates with you, and then if you cannot answer, until you find a question that you cannot answer, that actually stops your research or stops your product, your project. That's critical. Different critical questions have different research strategies. So if you want to find out market validation, then yeah, go ahead and do a survey. If you need to find out more information on certain aspects of regulations, what the government is doing, like if you need to find out who controls what, who who needs to basically, who do you need to work with in order to make your product idea work, then you may need to go down the route of like be a detective and try to find that person and reach out to them and ask them. Again, be aware of your bias. We all have bias. We're gonna do another detailed webcast to hide some other research bias as well. So tune in so you can be aware of like other bias that may come up. But yeah, the friends and family bias, that's a big one that a lot of people will do. So just be aware of it, and hopefully you'll go reach out, ask your extended network, and then yeah, go ahead and reach out to strangers, ask them, ask random people. Okay, so that is the end of my presentation. So we're just gonna go online and we'll ask, we'll field any questions that come up. And so a question that we have is, why do we limit to city? The better commute may be a common problem. When do we look at across city, across state? So research include state rules. That's a very good question. So I would say you need to scope your question in order for you to be able to like be a detective and follow where that question will lead you. Let's assume that it may be a more statewide problem or a statewide regulation. Well, we can always start off at the city level because it's easier for us to find local information, and you can actually go to your city, set up a meeting with your city officials because they're more local people. It's easier because for you to approach them, get their information. Now, if you find out that later on from their information that you may need to go up to the state level, okay, great. You've developed a rapport, a good network with that city manager, that person who's in charge of the city. And if you get their buy-in, they may then go ahead and reach out directly to the person in charge of the state and may set up some meetings for you. So again, it's not about like being like trying to think big and trying to do everything big. A lot of entrepreneurs get into that mindset of, I have this big thing, I gotta do everything. Well, no, we need to, there's certain things that lead to other things. And there's certain things that we need to focus down and scope it down in order for us to execute. It's better to execute and it's better to interview local people, city people, than to try to find a person on the state or even the country level. So hopefully that could actually help you think in terms of how to execute, because again, execution is key in business, in entrepreneurship, and everything. Michael and I, we're gonna constantly tell everyone that ideas are cheap, but it's all about execution. How can you actually execute and move forward? Little steps, little baby steps at a time. Hopefully, Morelli, that helps answer your question. Do we have any other questions? Mark Roth has a question. A better question might be, which city is the best or most one to allow us to experiment? Once it's proven in one city, many will follow. Yeah, again, that could be another critical question. If you find out that one city that you're in is not open, may not be open enough, you may go ahead and start, finding another city. And yeah, start. And this is a classic hustle, basically in American terms. We call this hustle. We basically knock on people's doors enough until we find someone to say yes. And once we find that, we're in. We're okay. We have something. We have momentum. We've accomplished a small baby step, but that baby step will actually allow us to complete the next 1,000 steps. Okay. Michael, we have about 5 more minutes. Do you want to chime in and add in anything? Because we're about to wrap up our webcast right now.
So then I was just saying that there was several levels of the commute, and rather than trying to tackle them all at once, because maybe there's different dynamics to them, we focused on the morning commute. I see Alex has a question. Is there any internet tool which could help execute research in case of questions asked to generic people? I'm sure there are tools, but in all honesty, there's so many different aspects of in-person communication. There's so much information there, whether it be body language, tone of their voice, and several other things that might be critical to either point you in the right direction or tell you maybe this isn't the best strategy to have. I mean, there's plenty of different polling tools that you could use. Not entirely sure, when you mean execute the research, are you thinking of like sending out a broad topic or like a broad net and try to get, say, like 10,000 people to respond? If so, if that's what you're thinking, that at this stage isn't exactly the best way to go, because that would, you know, overwhelm you with information, and you want to have small chunks of information that you can easily adjust your design or your product so that you can iterate. And the next time that you go out and ask questions, you see, did I improve it? Did I make it worse? Interesting. So it looks like Mark says that he is working on our generic problem that we kind of proposed. So certainly, Mark, if you wanted to post that on the forums to discuss, that would be cool. I know Caltrain is a very busy train out there. No, I mean, certainly it's kind of funny that you actually are working on this generic solution, but totally, if you can show up what you've worked on so far, I think that would really supplement this webcast.
Okay, it looks like we're out of time. So everyone, thank you so much of all the people who came to this webcast live. We will post this presentation along with our notes as well. So we've wrote out all these notes, so you can go back and read these notes as well if you want to. They outline a little more details on this framework. And again, post any other follow-up questions that you have on the forums. Mike and I will be here. Don't forget to go schedule one-on-ones and come out to office hours if you want to go ahead and pitch your idea. All right, with that, we are done. Thank you, everyone.
Yep. Bye. Thank you, everyone. See ya.